All right. We are back, Major League Journeyman. One less journeyman. We got two journeymen on the docket today. We got the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Alan Gordon, back from his sabbatical. He's got consistent performances under his belt these days. How we feeling, Gordo? Are you ready to rock or what?
Let's go. We're finally going to get words in this time because Dax isn't here. So I am excited to talk. I brought my voice because our boy Dax is not here. And he claims he's the most consistent number 6 in the league, but obviously that is not true.
He's clearly moving down the power rankings. Dax is probably busy right now writing a speech to all of Nashville, thanking them for their unwavering support about how great his fans are. Oh my God. Dax is going to be the mayor of Nashville. I mean, within, I think 2 years, he might be out on the campaign trail right now.
Your captain, my captain, Dax McCarty. How many followers do you think we've lost just because he just bows down to Nashville FC every time he's on? It's like, come on, Dax, let's go.
Dude, I just wonder how many of his supporters from Chicago and New York have just completely jumped ship. They're like ex-girlfriends that are just, you know what, this guy, he won't even recognize that we were in a relationship at one point in time. Did you catch the GOAT last night playing against Dax?
You know, I got home from coaching just at the end of it, so I turned it on right away. I saw the last bits, but I was just going through the highlights. This guy's so dirty, dude. It's so dirty all the time, man. But you can see he's starting to get a little frustrated with his teammates. It's showing that he is human after all. You know,
maybe. I think that there's still an asterisk on that. And we're not going to open this show with Nashville because we open every show with Nashville because Dax is the lone active player in this podcast. So he gets to see it firsthand. But I want to talk about, to start, the major news, I guess, of which I know you have some significant feelings on because we've talked about this and we've touched on U.S. men's national team in the past. But now that we finally get a roster and we finally get some staff, some player news, some Berhalter updates, he chats with the media. One of the most significant things for me, though, that came out was that he has not spoken with Gio Reyna still. And I know that a lot of people have touched on this already. But the way that I want to kind of shape our conversation, Gordo, is you're going to take one side and I'm going to take the other because unfortunately we do align on some of these opinions, which is a bit abnormal for us, to be perfectly honest. But I think that there's good debate here, and I want to see where you fall on whose responsibility this is. Is this a big deal? And what you see moving forward. So let's start with whose responsibility is this to take the first step, Gio or Greg?
Well, I'm glad we're taking sides because, you know, this is just fitting because Dax never takes a side and he rides the fence every time. And I'm going to keep grinding on you, Dax, wherever you are. I hope he wears a diaper because he must be sore, like riding a long distance bike because he rides the fence, straddles the fence so hard.
There's some chafing going on in there, that's for sure.
What I'm going to say to you, Dax, or you're not Dax, you're Dan.
No, I'm not. Way better looking.
Dax. I think it's embarrassing that this is actually even a story.
Interesting.
I think it's embarrassing. I think it's somebody that is trying to pull some drama out of this scenario. Is there drama? Yes, there has been drama. And it's too soon. It's too soon. So I'm taking Berhalter's side.
Hold on. What's too soon?
I think this article of, he hasn't reached out to him yet and trying to start drama. It's like, let him deal with this. You know, he's come out and he's been very upfront about how he's going to handle this situation. And he's gone ahead and said, you know, he's going to proceed with caution. You know, there's nothing more embarrassing and cringy if he was gonna go run to Gio right after he gets the job and to try to force this relationship to be repaired? That's embarrassing. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like if you get in a fight with your wife, am I sitting here going, hey, did you have a conversation? What was that conversation? No. Just like let you handle it. You're the dad. Greg's going to be the man in this situation, and he's going to handle it with caution. He said publicly, he said, this is not something that you're going to just pick up the phone and say, hey, buddy, how you doing? That he said that. And I like that approach from him. I really respect that approach. He's not going to force it. He's already gone ahead and said, hey, Gio's a big part of this club or this team moving forward. I hope that, we will try to repair this. He's going to be a big part of it, but he's not going to rush into it. And that is forceful for me. Mm-hmm. I think it can only be damaging if you try to force it. I think Greg's saying all the right things, Gargs. I really do. And I know you got to take the other side of this. And, I'm kind of sad for you because I don't see how I don't take the other side of this. Like what,
Okay. All right. Well, then let me poke some holes here, and I'm going to poke some holes just by asking you some questions. Sure. How old is Greg Berhalter?
He's probably 45.
45. How old is Gio Reyna?
He's 22.
He's 19. He's 20 now, but he's 19 in the World Cup. Do you think that in a fractured relationship that I think it's pretty clear that Gio made some mistakes as a little kid, right? He's a little kid. We've all been there, and neither of us have been in the spotlight that Gio has been in. Greg has maybe shared some spotlight like that, so I'm sure that he can sympathize with the pressures that come along with that. Also, neither of us have the dad that Gio has and the spotlight that has been created because of Claudio, and ultimately this situation, which is an absolute disaster, which we've already touched on, but really created by Gio's parents and soccer parents, right? Gio has plenty to blame for and is a part of this thing. But if you think about it, would you not touch base with arguably your most talented player after the World Cup? And this, I'm asking, going back retroactively with what Greg ultimately said in terms of spilling the tea in what happened at the World Cup, not naming names, but just that specific incident, right? Where he comes back from the World Cup. He talks a little bit about what happened there. Didn't say Gio, but also, it was kind of obvious that that's what he was talking about. Do you think that there's at minimum a little bit of a mea culpa from a coach to a player that you want to have a real relationship with long-term moving forward? Do you think that exists or no?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it can exist and it should exist, but I think we got to be real with this situation. I think that this relationship, if that's what we're calling it.
It is. We're talking about at minimum now a 4-year relationship, right?
Yes, but you are talking about a monogamous relationship. Being on the national team is not monogamous. Okay. It is, you are going to be judged on your level and how you're playing right here and right now. Okay. We've seen so many examples. I mean, last World Cup cycle, let's talk about the guys that missed right at the end.
But we're not talking about those guys. We're talking about Gio Reyna.
Gio Reyna, yeah, but I think that everybody has admitted he is a great talent, but we're putting him too high on a pedestal, and I truly believe that. And it's been blown up because of his parents. And I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination. We saw, his last few games. Was that Gold Cup that he was playing? No, it was Nations League, right? He was awesome, and it was clear that he should be part of this group. But dude, let's take it back a step, dude. He's got to be on the same playing field as every other player that's going to be, judged fairly by the coach. Okay.
I agree with that. I do. I completely agree with you there. Here's where I would push back on that, though. Greg is maintaining relationships with probably 60 players, like realistically, right? He's got, let's make a bad analogy. He's got 60 girlfriends that he's maintaining a relationship with. So they're not monogamous, but they are unique and individual to him, right? That he has to continue to build. As a coach, don't you want your best players, all your players, but your best players in their best frame of mind, right? That's natural. That's easy. So if you leave that lingering out there as in like, yeah, we don't have a relationship because I haven't addressed it yet because we haven't talked about it yet. I understand that approach. That's a grown man approach. I'm patient here. Gio is not patient. Gio's a 19-year-old kid. Gio's a 20-year-old kid that is going through arguably some difficult things. Now, take this into a different context. If there's not a stress on this relationship, right? So say everything ends well with Greg and Gio. Do you think he has no communication with Gio until whenever they're going to see each other? Zero communication?
No. I think that he is being very, very,
he's being very, very deliberate is what he's being. And almost to the point of, from my perception, almost too robotic in it, too steps oriented. He's come out, I think the national team said that he's now going to bring mediators into this to make sure that it's handled the right way, which we also don't know behind closed doors, like what the legality side of this thing is, because there's probably some question marks there in terms of tarnished relationships or reputations. And is there anything associated with that? But going back to like the start of this, the origin of this, I find it hard to believe that let's characterize the top 5 players on the national team. I think Gio clearly fits in the top 5 players at a minimum on the national team. Do you think that Greg hasn't had any communication with those top 5 players?
Yeah, he has. And
you think that intentionally he is keeping that communication to a zero to prove what point?
To prove that Gio, he says, big part is that he's comfortable being evaluated fairly like everyone else. So that says a lot to me. If you read in between the lines of that comment, he spent the majority of this article that came out about their relationship. He spent the majority praising Gio. He's a great player. We want him to be a part of this. I'm taking time. I'm going to do this strategically. I'm talking to experts. Okay. And I can agree with you. I'll give you that much. Maybe it is a little bit too robotic, but that's Greg Berhalter. That's him.
Okay.
He's not an emotional coach. He is a very strategic, robotic, German-based coach. That's who he is. And that you love it or you don't like it, whatever it is, but that's how he's going to do it. So, and then at the end, he said, listen, I'm going to reach out to him and repair this relationship. It's important to me. However, he needs to be comfortable and we need to be in a good space to know that I'm not going to just play him because we had this drama and now we're going to make up and everything's going to be rainbows. Okay. It's not going to happen that way. And nor should it. That was my biggest fear is, hey, is Greg going to feel some kind of pressure now since there was all drama and then they make up to play him when needed. And the big problem in the first place was obviously Reyna wasn't comfortable with his playing time. Okay. So that is something that is still going to be there. Reyna is allowed to not be happy when he's not playing. That is completely.
He's the 20-year-old mercurial superstar. That's who they are.
I think that Landon in the one, World Cup, I think it was 2014 that he got snubbed. He should have been like that. But he came out and said all the right things. He still didn't make it. He should have been like, this is my team. I need to be there. Anyway, players are going to want to play. So Greg is going to establish his dominance through a little bit of silence here and say, hey, I'm going to decide when this is right. And if you want to come along with the team, you're going to be just like everybody else. I know that you're a good player, but I'm not going to bow down to you, nor should this team. Okay, you're going to have to.
Okay, and that's fine. I think asserting dominance, reasserting who the boss is in the room. It's not the player, it's the coach, which I can appreciate. But is Greg making this more of an issue by not communicating?
No, I think the people writing these articles are making the big issue.
Well, they certainly pour gasoline on the fire, but like it's still an elephant, right? It's still an elephant in the room where like even I don't know, man. I struggle to look at Gio being the mature person in this situation. I'm not saying that Greg is immature in this situation. I just find it difficult on the other side of things to see where the real benefit and value is in just keeping this door shut until whenever in the future it opens up. Even if it's Greg telling the media like, hey, this is a personal relationship, that is what it is. And maybe going back on what some of that sanctity in the locker room that we talked about was maybe tarnished and spilling the tea. Maybe you're not sharing any of that stuff.
Right. Well, let me ask you one question. And I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but and I'm not comparing us to France, but let's just make an example here. What's the French national team's name of the coach? Deschamps? Something like that?
Uh-huh. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, did I get it? Perfect. Okay, so Benzema gets snubbed, right? Giroud gets taken, and arguably he gets snubbed. I mean, he was good enough to be on that team. They win the World Cup, right? What do you think do you think he called Benzema and was, like maintaining that relationship, or do you think he just made a decision like a coach should? Do you think he called him? I'm very sorry.
I think he probably called him, would be my guess.
I'm sure he did, but do you think that he felt the need to foster that relationship heading into the next World Cup? I mean, how much do you think he did that? Or is he just making a competitive decision because it's a competitive?
I think that's an okay comparison, but let's be honest, we're not France, and we don't have a luxury of riches that are Olivier Giroud and Karim Benzema and Mbappe and all the other players that France has at their disposal. So I think I would push back on that comparison and say that the relationship with Gio Reyna and Greg Berhalter, who is now going to be the boss in charge for the next World Cup cycle, is the dynamic is a lot different than what that is with those two. And I do think that, I hear what you're saying. And I think a mature approach and also a deliberate, intentional approach is really important. I don't know if I can see the value in extending this out any further.
Well, I don't like that. I don't like that statement from you because I think that we have a talented squad. Okay. And I don't think that Reyna right now, who he is right now, is bigger than the team. I know you're not saying that. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but you're saying we don't have the luxury to be selective if a kid is going to not play within the rules of the team. And that's
not what I'm saying. I don't disagree with the approach that Greg took in putting Gio on the bench. And I think that the way that we move forward absolutely 100% has to be an evaluation. I'm just saying if we miss Gio's next 4 years because of whatever this fractured relationship is, if it persists and we don't just move forward, I think that we as a nation, we as a national team are going to miss out on some potentially pretty impressive performances from arguably our best player.
No doubt. We will miss him if he's not there, but he needs to, they both need to do some steps and take some steps. And Greg said that they both need to do some work into repairing this relationship. It's not just Greg. The whole focus is on him. Reyna is going to have to to grow up a little bit, and he's been hurt, right? He's hurt. His emotions are going. He's a young kid.
Right. And that's part of my point. Like, part of my point is I've been in that place. I've been in, and you've been hurt. Like, it's a dark place. It's not easy to come out of. And if you're getting shunned by, or not shunned, but not communicated to by arguably one of the most influential people in your life, which is the national team coach, head coach that is going to control your World Cup minutes. I don't see this as contextually in this specific context of how this could benefit them moving forward, of just leaving it open-ended. That's
okay. I mean, I think it's a little too early, but I'm not ready to panic yet. We have a long cycle, and I think time and letting it settle is a good idea. I really do.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give myself the point. 1-0 Gargs. Let's move on to where we started, and I want to talk about I want to touch on two things, because now we're in the home stretch of Major League Soccer, right? We have 10, 11, maybe 12 games left at max for some of these teams. And I think that over the course of the last month, the conversation has been dominated by one thing, right? It's pretty easy. MLSsoccer.com is now a tribute page to the one and only Leo Messi. I don't think I've ever seen anything come out about anybody right now other than the guy in the pink shirt. And I think it's somewhat deserved, but at the same point, it's a little bit over the top. So here's what I want to ask you. Now, having watched the game, having watched a number of games, I think the question mark still is out there whether or not they're going to get in the playoffs, or I don't know, if they keep clipping along at this pace, there's a good shot. But if they don't, they don't. Does Messi get the Landon Donovan MVP award? And I'll let you pick again. You can take yes or no. Is he the best player in the league? Does he get the award with the stretch run that is still in front of us? I want to hear your prediction.
I mean, unequivocally, is that how I say it, or is it unequivocally? I think
you got it right. Trust yourself, dude. Dax isn't here to correct your vocabulary.
I thought he was getting a freaking journalism degree on the side while he's playing. I'm gonna say two things. I'm gonna say, shocker. He's the best player in the league. I think he's proven that. Should he get the MVP? Absolutely not. I'll fight that to the death. There's just no way. Okay. And I've always been against guys that either come in halfway through. And it used to piss me off when the MLS would take guys like, even when Bex came in, I think all these guys, Henry, would come in during the summer and they'd make the all-star team. Give me a break. That always pissed me off. Okay. So no, he just doesn't have aims to overshadow these guys that have been doing it all season. I mean, I can rally off. We got a really cool, really tight race, which I haven't seen in some time. Usually somebody's just running away with the golden boot. Right. We got Acosta, Mukhtar, Almada, Gil, Belonga. Okay, they're all. I mean, aside from Gil, he's got 12 assists, but he's only got 7 goals.
Your pronunciations today are flawless.
I've been watching more soccer, and it's Gil. Just practicing in case I get a call up for some sort of color commentating. So Acosta's 13 goals, 25 games played, 13 goals, 11 assists. Bro. Okay. Mokhtar right there with him, 13 goals, 8 assists. You can't take away this run that these guys are having. Did you see Acosta's goal last night?
I did not see Acosta's goal. I saw they won. They won 3-0, 3-1.
Bro. Look this thing
insane?
Insane. Insane.
Yeah.
Okay. He's dribbling across the middle. He flicks it with the outside of the right. To their striker, heads it down, and just bangs it from about 20 yards out. Upper V. I mean, dude, the guy's in rare form, and I think it would be really sad if Messi just came in and stole the MVP. He's the best player. Okay. He's the exciting player. I agree with you. Maybe it's a little embarrassing, but dude, this is the best player that ever lived. Okay, this is Pele on steroids when he came to the Cosmos. And I don't, I'm not going to pretend to have seen any of those games, but it looked like a pretty wild party, and like
based on how much soccer you watch now, I can't imagine you going into the archives to watch Pele.
You guys I watch more soccer than you think. It's a really tight race. Anyway, I'm going through the goals, as we're doing a little research for this pod, but
yeah.
There's probably 10 guys, 13 goals through 10. Okay. No, and more. If you go into 10, like there's like 7 guys that have 10 goals, but it's tight, dude. And I think that's exciting, but right now, Acosta to me, Mukhtar, we've talked about him so much because Dax is on this pod, and he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. So I think it's a 1A, 1B race. I wouldn't be surprised if Bouanga's in there, dude. The guy's been absolutely phenomenal. He's more like the classic 9. And what I like about this race is that these are mostly midfielders. And I know we've had kind of a midfield run, and the number 9 kind of used to dominate the Landon Donovan MVP, right? Yeah. It's like somebody, like Carlos Vela has 30 something goals, or Wanda, or Robbie Keane, or someone like that who's just scoring all these goals. This is a unique year for us, and I'm really excited. I want to watch along because it's going to be a tough vote, dude, between those two. Almada's he's the league assist.
No, this is perfect because you're making my argument for me. So I appreciate that, which is pretty standard out of you.
But I said
you can't see the forest through the trees.
You have to say Messi is the MVP. How am I making okay, go ahead.
Well, here, let me show you because you're a clown. So here's the deal. Messi is going to win Leagues Cup. He dominated the competition, ran away with it, right? He's only been in here for a month? A little over a month, right? July 17th, July 19th was his first game, somewhere in that ballpark. Been here for a month. He is clearly the best player. You've already said that. I agree with you. It used to drive me bananas how those dudes could make the All-Star game, right? It would frustrate me to no end because there are guys here that are absolutely working and putting in the time and also putting out the performances that are deserved. Hani Mukhtar is phenomenal and has been phenomenal. Lucho Acosta, an incredible year. Bouanga has an 18-month stretch here that has been maybe second to none. There are other guys, Carlos Hill, some of the guys that you mentioned that are special players. Gazdag and Philly having an incredible run. That's also part and parcel to why I think Leo Messi will be the MVP. Leo Messi also is one game away from picking up his second trophy of the summer. He is in the Open Cup final against the Houston Dynamo. If I'm a betting man, I'm probably going to take Messi because they host the game. Dynamo are also in excellent form. I mean, however they're doing it right now, but they're smashing teams, which I wouldn't have predicted that having watched them through some of the summer months. But they get a couple guys back. Coco Carrasco, he's unbelievable. He's a real player. But in saying all that, Messi puts on a show for the last 10 games. And I think that we saw the frustrated Messi last night. I mean, that was pretty impressive to watch. And teams have been doing it to him his entire career where they say, okay, you know what? You're a really good player. We're going to back up and we're going to force you to beat us. Right. And Nashville did it, and they ultimately come away with it. Mukhtar at the end probably has a chance to win it. And Kamal Miller, incredible tackle. I mean, what a tackle inside the box. Saves that game for Miami. But Miami, the passes that Messi is pulling out of his pocket are insane. And he didn't score last night, also didn't have assists. Probably could have had 8 assists, legitimately. 8 assists. He does this for the last 10 or 11 games, plus picks up another trophy, maybe gets into the playoffs, maybe he doesn't get into the playoffs. I still think because of the amount of worthy MVP candidates, I think they're all going to get split. And I think Messi is going to walk straight into it and they're going to hand him that trophy. And I think that realistically, I don't know if you could argue the other side of it. He is the best player. And it's not just, we're not talking, Gordo, we're not talking about 3 weeks on soil and everybody knowing that he's a great player, so you throw him into the All-Star game. We're talking about a guy that has now come in, assuming he continues on for the rest of the season, and puts in the work, proves that he's the best player on the field every single game, and also puts in a shift saying that I'm also the best player in the league at this current moment, I don't see how it doesn't happen. And then you throw MLS's marketing machine on top of it. Who do they want to win the MVP?
I know they do, and I think it's going to be embarrassing if they do. He does not deserve MVP, and because
I don't think that you can say that right now.
He came in with 4 other guys that are actually really good, and they've changed that team too. So what? It's
Lucho Acosta's not doing it by himself. Hani Mukhtar is not doing it by himself.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. I mean, completely disagree with you. How about Brandon Vasquez in Cincinnati? You think you're going to cast him aside? All the goals he's scoring?
Listen, dude. You can say that for all of them. All of them are in the same boat, and that's why
exactly MVP. That's exactly right.
MVP race, right? You can say that about each and every one of them. And if you can say it about each and every one of them, you shouldn't give it to a guy that comes in mid-season and just because he's the greatest of all time. You should give it to the guy who's
he's also
the
greatest of current time, dude.
Cincinnati is already in the playoffs. They have 57 points. Okay, That's impressive. So
it is impressive.
Okay, so you take the best player and the most important player for the team that has the most impressive run. Okay, you don't take a guy that is doing all these things for a team that's in last place. You just don't do it. Typically, you don't do it unless he's head over heels above everybody else statistics wise, and you can't argue that statistics never have something to do with it. They always
because I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to sell the statistics on an in-game minutes played scenario, and they're going to say Messi played 782 minutes and outshined everybody by X goals, X this, X that, do this.
It doesn't mean
and they're going to hand him the trophy.
It doesn't mean that he deserves it. They're going to do everything and anything that they can possibly do to give him the MVP. I think it would be a really cool thing if people didn't do that and didn't give him the MVP. I don't even think he would want it. I think he would be embarrassed by it. I really
that may be true, but that's not the question I asked you. I asked you, is he going to win the MVP?
No.
And you said no.
You said, should he? Okay, if I was going to well, I think he is, yes, because of all the BS stuff that it's marketing, bro. It's marketing, and he's really impressive, and he's really cool. Like, I want to vote for him. I wouldn't though. He's
okay. So hold on. All right, you come to the end of the season, and you're talking about most valuable player, right? Let's spell that out for what it is. He comes in July, takes a team that is in dead left for dead, and wins 2 trophies and gets them into the playoffs and performs at an insane rate.
I'm in the playoffs. That's why I said,
right. Mark, he's not. We are predicting this.
That's why I said he had 4 other guys. Jordi Alba, one of the best left backs in the world for 10 years. Actually, still pretty good, it turns out. Busquets is feeding him like he's calm. I mean, just unbelievable, right? Like, I get it, okay? But he hasn't been doing it himself, and nobody does. And so what I'm saying is, and you can make that argument for Acosta as well. Cincinnati was dead last.
I did make that argument, and that's what I'm saying. You have good teams that are arguably playing better because of their best player, but they're also surrounded by really good players. Miami just happened to start in the middle of the season. So there's also, I think Miami's the only team that has the ability. Well, I guess Houston's still out there if we win an Open Cup and then win MLS Cup. But Miami's also the only team that has the ability to win 2 trophies this year. Miami and Houston. And Miami's on its way, and I think Miami's odds are better. So, okay, listen, we can put a pin in it because that's good. I think that's fair. And I definitely won that point again. So it's 2-0 Gargs. You're not off to a great start here, Gordo. And I'm letting you choose which side you want. let's. Even though I've won the best out of 3 series already, I'm going to give you one more opportunity because I want to talk about similar to what you were just saying, Coach of the Year, and I think that this is also we're going to roll into a little bit of Miami talk here too, but I want to hear your pick for Coach of the Year. And I think that we've touched on it. You've touched on it in where you're going, but I'm going to let you throw this out there. Pat Noonan is, I think you decided on your Coach of the Year, and I think he's in a pole position to win that award. I want to hear from you why he is your Coach of the Year.
You have Miami throw up all over your shirt. It's actually I'm surprised you don't work for the St. Louis Gazette, dude. Like is all the beat writers. It's happened to you, bro.
Dude, I'm a fanboy now. I am a fanboy, and I'm okay with it. I'm not a player anymore. I'm not in that locker room.
Man, you are such a mainstream sellout these days, dude. You used to do everything, but now you're just going to go along with freaking whatever they say. Dude, there's no chance. There's no chance. Like I may do something stupid and like get a Twitter account and start speaking my mind if Pat Noonan doesn't get the job. Okay.
Okay. He has the job. You mean doesn't get the award?
Yeah. That's good. Hey, good argument. Always pick apart like what I say or my words. Like, awesome, you win.
Words are how we make arguments, but you keep putting them together.
Dude, if he doesn't get the award, I think it'd be really sad. Okay, I already touched on it. I'm not going to beat a dead horse because I got to go play golf here in a couple minutes.
They're not going to let you on the course with that shirt on, but whatever. Keep going.
57 points. At this point in the league, dude. Okay, he got the job and just.
What's he got? 9? Is there 9 games left for them? 8 games left? I saw it.
They have 17 wins.
17 wins. Yep.
Losses. 6 ties. Bro, that's incredible. Okay, they're undefeated at home. That's incredible, dude. And
undefeated in league play at home.
Let me just say this, since I know that you're going to bring Tata into this. Okay, this is incredible. What I will start with, they hired him December 14, 2021. They were dead last. Okay, yep. Last year they finished 6th, which is also incredible. He could have probably, he was probably a candidate last year, but Jim Curtin deservedly won the award, which he should have. Mm-hmm. If Tata had done this, as he will do this to Miami, there'll be a runaway, undisputed poll. Right? It'll be Tata's the best coach. He deserves Coach of the Year. You got to give the same credit to Pat Noonan for this turnaround. I know Chris Albright has something to do with it in the front office there, but he has the locker room's ear. Okay, and that's what I base this off of. If somebody goes on an incredible run, you have the buy-in from the players, and that's not easy to do. We all know that you can lose a locker room very, very fast. Leadership is really, really hard, especially in professional sports. And for him to come in, and he looks like he's still 25. For him to come in and do this and still have the ears of these really good players like Acosta and allowing and coming up with a formation that Acosta is going to thrive in more than he ever. More than he ever did in DC or anywhere else he was. This is his peak right now. And because, good coaches find a way to have their best players stand out and win games for them. And so I think it's really impressive, dude. And I don't think that there's any way somebody else could be in the running for this job, but I'll let you go ahead and try.
Okay. I want to start with giving Pat his due, because what he's done in the space of a year and 3 quarters is really impressive. And I do agree with you that outside of Jim Curtin last year, I think Pat Noonan was the runaway candidate for me too. And Jim deserves
fence here, dude. You got to crush
I'm not on the fence. I'm just giving credit where it's due. I think Pat has to break the points record to get Coach of the Year, which I think he has the potential to do. It's 73. New England Revolution have 73. So he's got, I think, 9 games left to do it. It's a lot, but I think that he's got the potential to do it, and I think that is unfortunately the only thing that will secure him for Coach of the Year. Now, here's why, and it's not Tata Martino. I'm going to take the field here, but I think another candidate that doesn't get talked about enough that has probably done a more impressive job is Bradley Carnell. And Bradley Carnell in St. Louis has taken an expansion franchise which has never been done to potentially win the Western Conference. So here's my argument. If Bradley Carnell and St. Louis City win the Western Conference as an expansion team, which has never happened, I'm a believer that Bradley will probably win the Coach of the Year. And solely because it's the first time in history. If Pat wins the Supporter Shield, yes, that's a great job. It's an incredible job. A Supporter Shield is an impressive achievement. It's an impressive accomplishment, but it's been done before. If Pat breaks the points record and Cincinnati wins the Supporter Shield, I think it's Pat's. But if they don't, if for whatever reason they fall short, I think Carnell's got to get the award. I don't think it's Tata. I think that's because of the things that we've talked about. Like, if you have 4 of the best players in the universe at your disposal and you only have to coach half a year and you're coaching with a reckless abandon, it doesn't matter if you lose. That's a different approach. What Carnell and St. Louis City and Lutz Pfannenstiel have put together, whether that's the karma that comes along with being an expansion franchise, whether it's getting off to the right start. He's also done this, to be fair, without two DPs. So their center back DP hasn't played a minute, and Klaus, who's an absolute monster, just came back in and missed the entire summer. He's pieced this together with academy kids, with role players in a lot of ways, cast-offs from the rest of the league, and they keep on winning. And it's not pretty soccer, but it doesn't really matter because they are, I think, 7 or 8 points clear of the West, of LAFC, who we've talked about a number of times on this podcast as being a cut above the rest of the league. So now you have an upstart expansion franchise potentially winning the Western Conference. If they win the Western Conference, I think it's Carnell's to lose.
Okay, but you know the whole
3-0 Gargs.
The whole expansion thing it's not the same anymore, dude. Expansion teams can come in right in and win. Las Vegas Knights did it in hockey. Everybody's doing it. You know, like you can
listen, you're right. There are different mechanisms that support the expansion franchise more so than they ever have. I agree completely. That doesn't mean that it's easy or that you get it right. Not 99% of them don't.
You made my point for me right there. You said it's not pretty soccer, but they're getting it done. Okay. And that's fine. Wins are wins. Okay. Wins are wins. Okay. But when we did that as the Goonies, okay, in 2012, did Frank Yallop get the Coach of the Year award? No, because we were.
Who got it? Who got it that year? Do you know?
Okay.
You could have, and Frank probably should have. I don't know who. What year was that?
2012. Anyway,
Statman Jack's not available, so we're gonna have to look this up the old school way.
Getting ugly. It does not mean that you've done a great job coaching. Okay, it doesn't. What, like pack it in and get lucky? Awesome. Yeah,
you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. Frank Yallop, 2012 Coach of the Year. Yes.
You get that point, but I win 2-1. I gotta go golfing. I'm out.
Oh my God. This is too good. This is too good. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. This might be the last time you ever debate me because you just got absolutely mopped. And it's pretty standard. It's good to know that things haven't changed between us, Gordo.
Can we start a poll? On social media? And I want to hear from the people. I don't want this self-proclaimed, I won, like your Dax.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Let's start a poll. And let's make a bet, dude. Let's make a bet. Okay.
All right.
You're gonna give up for a month if I win.
I'm not gonna give up anything for a month. How about this? How about this deal? Who won this? And this also there is a caveat here. I like this. but you got to pick every side, and I just debated the other side. So
that makes me win.
No, come on. All right, here it is. Whoever wins, the other guy has to fly to their city for a golf weekend.
Ooh, love that. Why is that a punishment?
It's not, but you got to pay to fly in.
Oh yeah. All right. I like it. All right. It'll be good to host you out here in Colorado. All right.
Forget where you were for a minute.
Why don't you sign us off, Dan?
Well, as the newly crowned podcaster, argument, conversationalist champion of the year, Daniel C. Gargan. Gordo, it's been fun. I missed this banter. That was enjoyable. Thanks. We finally had some airspace to speak without Dax covering every 38 seconds of 45 seconds of content. This guy, unbelievable. He's who's he got? Do we know who Nashville plays this weekend?
Somebody good.
I know they're on a run. They're on a run. To be fair though, that's a massive point for Nashville. And Gary Smith is another guy we didn't even talk about. We're talking about the field. Gary Smith deserves some pretty significant credit.
Back and trying to patch your stats, bro.
All right. Hey, we are putting this out there. I like that. That's a great idea. We want to hear from you guys. Who won that debate? Gordo or Gargs? We'll catch you soon enough with the results. Thanks for tuning in.